All right, all you Move, Think, Smile followers, today I have got a rock star with us. I've got the phenomenal Kendra Cannoy coming from the West Coast of the United States of America. And spoiler alert, let's just go ahead and get down to it, Kendra. We are enrolling number, what, 6 client here
number
tomorrow?
6 on Friday, yes.
6 on Friday. And what's really cool about this is she's got a $3,000 program specifically targeting what kind of pain?
Joint pain.
Joint pain. Joint
Yes.
pain. And it's a really, really cool thing. And what we want to talk about is Kendra is going to share her story on how she got to this point, because things were not always that way, were they?
No, not for a while.
All right, well, tell us about that. So Kendra, kind of introduce yourself, let everybody know kind of what's your background in the area of health and wellness and how you got to where you are.
Yeah. So I live in Northern California, up past Sacramento, in a little town called Auburn. And I have been in health and fitness for my whole career. I did an office job for like a hot second, decided that wasn't for me, and then quickly became a personal trainer. And then 10 years after that, I had my injury that actually led me into the joint health and healing program that I now teach. I find that a lot of us, we have our own, health concerns, and then we figure them out, and then we end up teaching them. So that's the path a lot of times. So I have done, personal training, group training, one-on-one nutrition coaching, group nutrition coaching, and then leading groups through really, which was the basis of my now joint healing program. I've been doing that for 14 years. So okay. I've had experience in that and helping people heal for a long time. But on a business front was just really small potatoes, was, nickeling and diming my way through and feeling bad if I was going to charge another $50 or if I was going to raise my prices just a little bit. And, and I definitely had, I guess, a scarcity mindset of really what my worth was and, what people would pay or what I could do in terms of the business.
Okay. So all right. So just to recap, so we're a personal trainer, and then we've taken a bunch of programs and certifications, everything from nutrition to corrective exercises and everything in between.
Right.
And if I saw right, you used to work at Adobe, right?
I taught fitness at Adobe. It was actually through Exos, which was
like Adobe, the software company?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So all you Photoshop and Illustrator lovers and Premiere Pro and After Effects, this is the lady who keeps those people who are designing all that stuff from breaking in half.
Yes. And I used to be their like software tester because I'd make friends with, my students, and they'd be like, we need someone to test out this new, piece of software. So I'd go in and be the tester for dummies. So that was fun.
So you were doing exercise and fitness for Adobe employees, and then you left and you started up your own thing.
I've always done a hybrid of some fitness coaching and then some of the nutrition and lifestyle coaching.
Okay. And so you're not currently with Adobe anymore, though? No. And so you got out, you started doing your own thing. And before we started working together, tell us what were the obstacles that you were dealing with? What were the big challenges?
So much. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years, so I've got to give myself credit for the things that I did learn along the way. And I've done other coaching programs, and I've, learning new software and this and that, and having my social media presence, which is, I'd give myself like a B- on my social media presence. But there's so much with funnels, and I had never done a Facebook ad before. I had a web page, but wasn't really serving anything. And I don't know if anyone ever went there. Had a small email list that I would send out an email once a month to, And so I had pieces in place for sure with the business, but not a real clear direction, and of course guide and support. It would be a one-off. Oh, this person knows about setting up a Facebook page, and this person knows. And so I would kind of, one-on-one or just one aspect at a time, be piecing things together.
Okay. So it sounds like, so what would you say was the big constraint back then? Do you think it was client acquisition?
I have a good warm market, and yeah. I have an ability when I'm talking to people to enroll. I didn't call it that before, but yeah. To enroll. I guess it was reaching a broader audience was really what I was lacking. That, okay, and of course my pricing was a huge.
All right, well, let's take a look at that. So before we started working together, like, what was the annual revenue for the business?
I have never been a data person, and I'm still working on that aspect, but I know that's important. I mean, I would say from my nutrition, let's just say overall about 50,000 a year.
About 50,000 a year. Okay. Mm-hmm. And what was your pricing structured like back then?
So I can tell you one big shift. I made a shift about 9 months before I started working with you. But before that, I was utilizing a network marketing company's program, their nutrition and lifestyle coaching program, and literally not charging anything for my coaching.
Oh, wow. So were you doing the whole like free session kind of thing?
It was, you buy the pack of products and I lead you through the program.
Oh, okay. So basically you were selling physical goods and then giving your stuff away for free.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And how'd that work out from a salary standpoint?
Not well at all. Not well at all. And I wasn't really into the network marketing piece of like growing a team and that whole aspect of it. Yeah. It was like utilizing the products and making the commission off those and, reorders and stuff. So yeah, like a little bit, but very little. I mean, I think I made probably about, from that company, about 15 grand a year. So just over $1,000 a month.
All right. So you had the MLM. Now, outside the MLM, how are you working with clients? Like, I guess first question would be is like, what was your pricing and packaging look like? And then how are you actually getting clients?
Social media posts. I'd actually done social media kind of since I started doing this nutrition program 14, 15 years ago. And I'm a big in-person networker. I did BNI, Business Networking International. When I lived in San Francisco, I did that for 5 years. And if I were to know my data on that, it wouldn't be very impressive for like the $1,500 a year that I spent in BNI fees and their whole thing. I might have doubled or maybe tripled that in my actual closed business from them. So in-person things, and I'm an extrovert, so I talk to people everywhere, and I'm not shy about talking about health and fitness with people. And it's a very easy topic to talk about with people. Yeah. But then social media, it was just posts, stories, occasional offers, come January, okay, do the new year, new you type of thing. Okay. Which, worked for getting, let's say 30 people a year to go through the program. But when you're either not charging anything outside of your product order, or like 9 months before I met you, I started charging $200 for the 1 month program.
And what did a 1 month program include?
It included, the dietary, guide, support of like going on the elimination diet,
Right.
And then some lifestyle and mindset things too, but not as robust as I do now.
Okay. And so if I were a client and I came in and gave you $200, say, Kendra, help me out, how much of you do I get?
You get a weekly group call.
Okay.
And you get unlimited texting or calling me, really text support of questions and that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And how did that work out?
Well, if you took the average person with coming to that call and texting me 2 or 3 times throughout the week, and if you did that hourly and took that $200 and stretched it out, I'd be making way less than minimum wage to do that. Yet I was also getting amazing testimonials, Right. So I was really providing value for people in their life and in their health and wellness. And I was, almost giving it away for free.
So what part of the business back then would you say you knew in your heart could work at a level that you knew it could get to, but it just wasn't there yet?
I knew that the stuff that I was putting out, both in email and in social media, I knew I was on track in general because I would get good response. And I did always have a flow of people that I was connecting to, but it needed to be bigger. I needed to have a bigger pool to attract, more people to get the kind of numbers, especially if I was going to try to survive on $200 per person per month,
Right. Yeah. And so $200 per person per month. So you just enrolled your 6th person. You're now at $3,000. That's $18,000. So how many people would it have taken and how much time would it have taken for you to gross 18 grand?
I mean, what is that?
A lot.
I would have had to work with 90 people to do that. And I was only working with about 30 people a year. So
30 people. So even 30 people, but still it's a lot. 30 people times 200, right? That's per month. Mm-hmm. Let's say you got to maintain 30 people, right? Because they didn't.
No. 30 people a year I was working with.
Oh, 30 people a year you were working with.
I was working with.
Oh, wow.
Making 6,000 from that piece. And then my fitness was basically filling in the rest of my income and survival.
And in order to hit that 18 grand, even if you were if you're at 90 people a month, you'd hit 18 grand. Or let's say you did 30 people, you still have to work with people for 12 weeks, 30 of them, and keep them up at that subscription level in order to hit $18,000.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And so, I'm talking these are a year. I should have clarified that. I know that you're in different categories and I'm stepping in. I have 1.5 feet into your world, but yes, I'm talking annual and instead of monthly. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. And how much time were you spending on the marketing?
It would ebb and flow. I definitely value, which is, I think, part of why it's taking me so long to, get to this piece really and find you and be ready, not only finding you, but just being ready to step into charging what I'm worth. But it was just, I call it the spaghetti on the wall. I was just like, let me throw out a post every once in a while and email every once in a while. And, and it would stick to a few people. So I had, it was working in a sense of it wasn't flatlined, right. But it definitely wasn't getting, and it's a mix, right? Because now, even if I'm only connecting with 1 or 2 people off an email, if I'm ending up with a $3,000 enrollment, I don't need as many of them.
Exactly. And are you working as much?
No. I mean, more on my marketing right now.
What do you mean with your clients? Like, are you making more than minimum wage right now?
Oh, yes. Yes. And the biggest thing about that, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but is my commitment. I'm always interested in, helping people get healthy. That's why we're all here. That's why we all come to MTS in the first place. But when there's $3,000 coming into the bank, I'm like, okay, like, I want to make sure these people have a good experience. I want to make sure they have all the things. When it was $200, and especially when the client would give their $200 worth of commitment, which isn't very much, it might get them through the first week of being enthusiastic, and then they would just stop responding to me or reading any of the things that I posted. So we are mutually more, we have each other's attention.
Yes.
And I guess I knew logically that before, but having experienced it now, it's like to the point actually where I just offered one of my best friends, her teenage daughter needs coaching. And I was like, oh, you get into the friend thing and you're like, oh, okay. And I offered her half at $1,500, which for them was still they were kind of like, oh, really? And I thought, I can't do it for any less than that, even as a friend of someone that I love, because of what I've experienced. Like, we both need to show up to it.
This is really good. I'm glad you brought this up, and no, it's not premature by any means. So talk about that, at the $200 level, like when we're talking about showing up, you're talking about not just you, right? Because you have a lot more commitment level. When somebody pays you $200, you have a $200 commitment. When somebody pays you $3,000, you have a $3,000 commitment. But what's funny is, even though you're more committed, you're working less, because that person has now a $3,000 commitment versus a $200 commitment. And actually showing up, they're listening, they're invested, they're dead serious, they're changing. They're what we call the impact seeker versus the magic pill seeker. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. And when I say, did you watch that video? Did you do this thing? Yes, they've done their homework. Where if they're $200 invested, it's like, did you watch that video? Oh, can you send the link again? And you're like, like, I'm giving you so much life-changing information potentially for people. And if they're not paying for it, they don't realize it a lot of times.
Well, let's talk about some of the big changes that have happened, since we started working together. And obviously one of them is the price, right? And, give us some other aha moments in there. It's like, what were some of the big things that we did to actually turn this, $200, 30 clients a year system into a, I got 6 clients right now at 18 grand and the year's not even over yet.
Yeah. So the, what we would call the niche, or, the target, right, of our impact zone, like, who are we helping? Well, I've been able to help everybody, right? Like, a lot of health people, oh, I don't know if you got weight to lose or this or that, it's like, but really having to decide and select on an impact zone of people with joint pain, and more specifically people who are active, that are in some sort of sport or activity, and their joint pain is inhibiting them from doing that.
Yep.
It was a little bit, while I had a joint injury myself, so that did make sense, and I had some great testimonials with joints, so that's why I decided on it. But there definitely were times where I thought, is this the right one? I could have chose something else. And I've seen other people actually in our group vacillate and kind of jump back and forth trying to find their impact zone. But I've just chose it and stuck with it. And I also know that, in fact, I was just considering that when I want to make an offer to a different impact zone, I can. That has made a huge difference. And I think along with that, what I've learned from MTS is the unique mechanism and having my name of accelerated regeneration method, which is my approach to healing joint pain. And I totally get that, because it's like, it sounds cool. It's like, oh yeah, I teach the accelerated regeneration method. What is that? Like, I don't know, I made it up, but I mean, I do know what it is. But
I hope you know what it is. I mean, we gave, so just real quick pause. When Kendra is talking about impact zone, that is our term for the inward niche. And the reason we like to take a lot of these very sterile marketing terms and kind of lay them over on the side is because we're dealing with real human beings. We're dealing with people's health. And so we're talking about the impact zone, and that's the group of people that Kendra can impact, right? Make their health better. So then those people can then go impact the people in their circles, like their career, their own family, things like that. That's what we mean by impact zone for sure. And unique mechanism is very important. And that's one of the things people don't understand is that, you can't just give what you do a fancy name. There's a science behind it of getting out there and creating this really powerful messaging. At least, Kendra, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong about this, and making what you do very authentic to you and not sounding like everybody else, not sounding generic, not sounding like a commodity that gets people to go, yeah, I'm interested. Tell me more. Would you say that's correct?
Yes. Yeah. And especially with the one that I'm using right now, the accelerated regeneration, it does allow me to, because I'm telling people, I'm like, well, our bodies will naturally regenerate, and these tools are going to accelerate that process. Like, I try to use those terms as I'm explaining so that I can connect the dots for people so they get what it is, and yeah, and it's very powerful in the marketing of the content that I'm putting out. In fact, my business partner, who's also my life partner, he does the mindset coaching in my accelerated regeneration method. Try not to say program. It still slips out every once in a while. It's stuff I'm retraining myself. But now I told him recently, I was like, we got to come up with your unique mechanism for what you do so that when we start, marketing. So that's what's cool is taking everything that I've learned through you guys so far, and either, okay, am I going to try a different impact zone and try a different thing at some point, or with Kenny, helping him kind of do the same things. And I have all the guides and the information. So if I forget, I don't know how I don't remember how I came up with my unique mechanism. I can go back to the content and read the notes and help, so that ultimately we could duplicate and create all sorts of, businesses and mechanisms and,
Exactly. I mean, we worked directly with Kendra and we helped her develop this stuff, but also we making sure that we develop it. And we're also making sure that Kendra understands how it works, right? So it can make better business and marketing decisions as an empowered business owner, which to us is very, very important. Now, we're talking a lot about marketing and niches and stuff like this, but would you say that's the only thing that we do? Do you see that's the secret sauce to everything? Or would you agree with me that there's a lot more to having a successful health and wellness business than just the marketing part?
Oh, yeah. I would agree with that. So actually, just last week, which is funny because I'm having lots of wins right now, right? But it doesn't mean that I'm off of the entrepreneur roller coaster that is the chart. And I was I just had a crap mood, and I showed up on the Monday messaging call, and I was just like, I'm not posting enough and I can't think of anything. I was just so negative. And like you said, I have no problem talking. So there it all came out in front of everybody. And, Andrew and Elia both were, coaching me back, and I heard it and I knew it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like the crappy mindset client that I have that I'm trying to, and anyway, they redirected me, and I posted every day last week. It totally shifted me. And when I shared it in the group that I had turned my frown upside down, I said, we all need coaching. And that's, we're all coaches and we're all helping other people, but yet with, yes, that there's the how-to marketing piece, but then the mindset is huge because it always is. But, in terms of we're now, like I'm paying for advertising and I'm paying for more software pieces. And so I've got a little bit more overhead than I used to, but that's what you got to do to then bring in the clients to make more. There's kind of that balance. And so sometimes the mind can freak out and I definitely have relied on all of you guys to, keep me on the tightrope and keep going.
Yes, the mind, with the lack of data, the mind makes stuff up. Us human beings are really good at that. With lack of information, with lack of the full story, this is called opinions, right? And a lot of times we opinionate ourselves in the background of why isn't it working? Why is this happening? What's going on here? And then you kind of get off track. But I want to highlight a couple of things. Kendra has chosen to take a little bit more of a social strategy because that's what she feels comfortable with. Or actually, you did feel comfortable with it in the beginning, especially like getting out there and getting in front of people. If I remember right, like the first time you were going to do kind of like a video live, you're like, I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. And you just postpone and you postpone. And then you finally did. It's like, oh my gosh, it worked.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also because I've shifted with your guys' direction of what to share.
Yeah.
And so even though I'm comfortable, typically it was like coming on live, like I could write an email so that I could edit it and, control it. But when you're on video and stuff's just gonna come out of your mouth, you gotta watch. So I think that's what tripped me up there for a little bit,
and you're doing great. And what's really cool is, and Kendra, you can tell me if you agree or not, like, any marketing strategy can work for anybody, but we have a pool of very proven strategies that work in the health and wellness market. And not everyone works for everybody, does it?
No. And I think that's part of what's different is that we're doing, other people call it high ticket. We call it high impact. But it's not selling a vacation package. It's not selling something else. It's like really connecting with these deep wounds and fears that people have. And so while there's still enrollment, psychology and stuff that you do, ultimately, we're holding people's health and wellness in our hands. And so we have to be a little bit softer.
Yeah. And a lot of people watching this will probably be going like, okay, this chick has gone from $200 to $3,000. I mean, how can you do that? You're now making healthcare elite. And I can understand that objection, but the reality is if you're actually helping somebody get to the root cause of their joint pain, so then they're no longer literally bleeding money to the healthcare system, right? Just managing and mitigating the symptoms, according to the Center of Disease Control, you're saving that person, even if they have insurance, $16,750 a year, which can span across not just joint pain, but any disease or dysfunction, caused by lifestyle or whatever.
Right.
And I think it's really important that, when we say impact, because you said high impact, and this is a really big distinction, high ticket to me, it puts the price, it puts the focus on the bank account of the business, where high impact puts the focus on the person's life that we're changing.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I already had from a few years ago, I had an experience I hired a functional medicine practitioner and worked with her for some microbiome stuff. And she charged, it was just around $3,000 for whatever, I don't remember how many weeks it was. And then I spent hundreds, if not thousands, on supplements with her too, which we know how that goes with. And then I referred her to some friends of mine, and they had already gone through my nutrition process, which was very similar to her diet, which is, it's kind of agreed upon in the, I know you don't like holistic, but in the holistic.
Well, no, I like holistic. I like holistic.
Oh, right.
Just don't tell people you do holistic in the marketing.
Yeah, don't put it in our marketing. Yes.
Yeah, don't put it in your marketing. If you leave with one thing, guys, today, don't mention the word holistic, at least right now in this time of age, because it actually repels the good people away.
Right. Right. So, but I thought, okay, if that and they said, my friend said, if I had not gone through your program and learned the tools and the habits and the lifestyle through you first, I wouldn't have been able to do this program with the functional medicine practitioner. And I thought, well, that's not fair. Like, she charges $3,000 for like kind of the same thing. I mean, that's right. Additional tests and stuff like that. But that's why when you came into I don't know, you just appeared. I think you appeared in Facebook ad is what happened. All I know is I was in your Facebook group, and then somebody was texting me or calling me, and then I thought, I don't know, I don't move, think, smile. I was like, I don't get it. I hear that getting people like myself to make doctor money. I hear that part, but I really didn't. And I took the call really to just be like, okay, I just need to clear this out so that I stop seeing their stuff and I stop getting their calls, because I'm not really sure what they want. I doubt it's for me. And then, of course, I enrolled by the end of that hour.
Well, I mean, we reach out to people, we do a little pre-evaluation to say, okay, does this person have a skill, and does it appear that she's good at what she do, and can she actually help somebody if they show up? And
I filled out your stuff. So, I mean, I spent some time in it. It just, looking back, it totally surprised me, because I remember it was a Friday afternoon and I was like, okay, I'll just quickly listen to what they got and, slide that over. And then when I heard the whole thing, I remember going, oh no, because I knew I was going to do it, but I wasn't really ready to like switch directions with what I was doing.
Well, everybody's ready. It's just, we always have this resistance to, like, we want to change.
Yes.
Right. I mean, it even happens to me. Like, what was I trying to do that day? Oh yeah. Like yesterday, I was working on our own Facebook ads. Like, we've got a team that does that, but I was like, you know what? A lot has changed with Facebook. Mm-hmm. I need to go in there. I need to just like refresh myself with what's going on. It's going to suck because everything's in a different place. I'm going to have to relearn everything. And I literally resisted it. I was finding myself, okay, I'm going to do my laundry first. I need to do the dishes. I should go rake the yard. Like, I haven't raked the yard in about 10 minutes. I should go rake it again. That's like what was going through my head. I should feed the cat, maybe give him a bath. It's like, what can I do other than to have to do this thing? And we do this a lot when it comes to actually taking the action that's going to change the trajectory of our business. Mm-hmm. Right. And so we do that. And that's really cool that happened. So what were some of the big aha moments? So we worked on pricing. We definitely worked on enrollment skills, which I don't think people really realize how important having those conversations are.
No. And I definitely like the term enrollment.
Better than sales.
Better than sales. Right. Especially because, like we said, with who we're working with. Yes. And in all of this stuff, I have so much more to grow, right, and to go. But I've done, I think, a lot of calls that I've gotten no's on. I have not closed a lot of them, which I think Elia's story keeps me going, because she did like over 100 where she didn't enroll. 133 where she didn't enroll anybody.
Back in the day, years and years ago, we were figuring this stuff out, and we were doing it the absolute wrong way, which means we fell in all the pit holes so you don't have to.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I've probably done about 33. Don't hate on me because my stats are not there.
And this is great. And I think it's great to share this because, all right, so you have 33 calls, but you've enrolled 6 people. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So we are at you're almost at a 20% enrollment rate. Like, that's good. That's like industry standard.
That's true when you put it that way.
Yeah, no, it's like, this is the thing you have to understand. It's like, and the thing is, and you've only talked to 30 people. Like, I don't know if people realize, but there's this thing called the law of 100. Mm-hmm. And that is, if you want to get good at anything, you've got to do it at least 100 times. Mm-hmm. If you want to get good at writing emails, you got to write 100 emails. not just emails, but marketing emails. If you want to get good at social posting, which that's a strategy that Kendra has chosen to do, and we've helped her with it, but it's not necessarily, you don't have to do social posting, that you got to get out there and do it 100 times. If you want to get really good at enrolling, you're going to have to do it 100 times. Now, what happens is when you get to 100, so you've enrolled 6 people with 33 calls, you're at 20% rate, and Ellie had to do 133. That's my partner / spouse, before she even enrolled a person. And that's what we were trying to get up there. And I think that was for like $1,000. Like we were even at a higher level yet.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to say that the enrolling stuff has worked.
It has. Oh, it definitely has. It definitely has. And you learn so much too about your niche / impact zone in these conversations, you know? Yes. And at first it seems like it's 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes even more with each person. If you have more than one a day, it can. And I also used to get super zapped energetically, right? Because I'd be like, okay, this is my chance, you know, and I'd be trying to do the script and everything. And, but now I know the flow, and I still I can't say that I've gotten 100% of all the things that ideally we get, but I know my audience so much more, and I have gotten much more discerning of who I want to work with.
That's important, because now you can say, I could help you, but I don't know if I want to. Because you look like you're going to be one of those less than amazing people.
Yes. And with my Facebook group, which is my approach for marketing, running an ad to my Facebook group, being nationwide, you know, I've been in California my whole life, basically. And so my people tend to be California or West Coast, and getting out into the broader US with different, you know, value systems and different income levels and different health, things that are available to them, you know, and I've learned, you know, things that we're not supposed to make an assumption, right? One of the 4 agreements, but things that I didn't realize were assumptions, like people want to get off medication. I would assume that everyone wants to do that. That's actually not the case.
No.
And that's been a big, you know, oh, okay, so I actually have to ask, is this your intention? You know, so just things like that.
Or are you open to it, right? Because this is one thing, and you can't blame them. You know, it takes an entire civilization to make this happen. It's not just the healthcare system. Like, we built it as human beings. Like, we was a sickness-based model. Cool. Get in a car wreck, please take me to the hospital. But if I get diabetes, don't take me to the hospital. Take me to a functional practitioner or a health coach or somebody who can really help me out. And when we're working with people like that, they've normalized, and those medications have become safety blankets, right? So even though they're in an uncomfortable zone, that is their comfort zone. And it's really learning how to use very powerful conversations. And a lot of the enrollment techniques, the sales conversations that we teach Kendra, you know, really stem from the world of life coaching. And I mean the like really good stuff. And that's getting people to empower them to realize and make the best decision, that it is far more risky to stay where they are than it is to hire Kendra. Would you say that's an accurate description?
Yes.
Okay.
And that really that boils down to the whole enrollment, that it's a bigger risk to not work with me than to work with me, and to invest, you know, the money that takes.
So did you find, like, we take a functional approach with businesses, meaning that we look at all the cylinders under the hood, not just the marketing, but also the structure, looking at how the revenue's coming in, looking at the profit margins, obviously looking at the messaging, looking at, okay, now we got to get some eyeballs, we got to do some marketing here. And then of course the sales and all that stuff. And also, have you learned, like, any of the techniques that we've taught as far as behavior change goes? Has that transponded into what you're teaching your own clients?
Definitely. Yeah, it definitely has. And even, well, it's not really what you're asking, but the structure of the way you hold the MTS calls and things like that, that is definitely something that I'm emulating and will emulate when I have, you know, 10 people going at once, which is
Not far away.
Coming soon.
You're 60% there.
Yes. Yeah. But then, yes, with the, we do like Thursday mindset or leadership calls, and it's all applicable. It's all really the same. It's just, I'm telling someone to change what they eat, and you're telling me to change what I'm posting or messaging. It's same thing as far as really going through a process to grow and evolve and become better.
And would you say we just told you what to do, or we actually helped you do some of it too?
Oh, thank goodness you helped me do it, because I actually did not do the funnel myself. I mean, I did some of the text, but you guys tweaked it. Wrote my ad, but again, you guys tweaked it. And my ad, thank goodness, has been, it's been wonderful. I've gotten, you said that my ad has performed better than some of yours, which, made me pat myself on the back, even though you totally helped me and put it up there. Yeah, no, and that's something too, that moving forward, I know that you guys have, offerings in the, for continuation, and that's so valuable. And it's stuff that I really just don't want to do. I don't really want to become an expert on the funnel system or an expert on the Facebook ads. I mean, I know enough to manage it now that I'm in it, but I value that I would love to continue having you help me with those in the future, because that's the kind of stuff that in the past, it could take you months, right? If you're going to dive into trying to learn all of this on YouTube, and doing YouTube shorts of this is how you set up the things and this is how you figure out your targets. It's like, it's just like the investment to be a part of this with you is, if you look at, even if it's just in terms of time of how long it would have taken me to, and even hiring little people here and there, but without the expertise to like put it all together with you guys being health, coach, practitioner, experts. Just the level of support of putting all that stuff together is priceless.
Yeah.
There's
and you're talking about two different things. One, you're talking about the technology of like building ad campaigns, whether you're on Google or YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or Meta or whatever you want to call it these days. That's one thing, but then you also have the nuances of just actually getting that messaging down. So when you do get an ad out there, the Facebook campaign, the targeting, that's part of it, but so many people think they have a bad audience when they have a poor message.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really the messaging. It's what you're saying is more important. And obviously what you say has got to get in front of the right eyeballs. And when you combine those two together, a powerful message in the right eyeballs, that's when amazing things happen, like 6 clients and $18,000 in cash flow.
Right.
Which is super cool. Super cool.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. All right. So Kendra, for everybody out there in the old internet land, taking a look at this, what piece of advice could you give them if they are in the health and wellness space where they've got skills, they've got the knowledge, they've got the expertise to help somebody overcome a joint pain, or maybe it's an autoimmune disorder, or maybe it's hormone problems, or maybe it's, weight loss and it's energy and stuff like that. What piece of advice would you give them?
Save yourself the years and the other investments of whatever else you're looking at, and just pour it into and commit to this process of MTS. Like I feel like I've been doing commercials for you all along, like in our classes. I'm like, oh my God, you guys saved me. You helped me with so much stuff that it's, and Andrew being one of the coaches who's, a lot younger than me. I'm like, God, how do you know all this? And I was like, why did it take me this long? And he laughs at me. But it's just, yeah, it's so worth it. And I have actually only used I don't know what percentage. I haven't gone through all the things. I haven't gone through all the materials that you have. And that's actually a piece of advice too, is that it's kind of good to not do that, because I was like, okay, I'm doing this ad, I'm doing this Facebook group, I'm just going to focus on that. I'm not going to get too distracted on the website or any other things, because this is what's going to really bring me the business flow. And it did. And now that I have it, I'm like, okay, I really need to go back and look at some of these other things that I didn't look at. But there's just so much. It truly is. I mean, you have a marketing, you have a master's?
Mm-hmm. I do.
And have done, some incredible things. And it's really like a master's program condensed, and I want to say another thing, because I did do another marketing program just a few years ago that I did for a while and then completely pooped out on, is the format. In the other program, they'd have hour-plus long videos. And when I would do my homework and not get it, I was told to go back and watch the couple-hour videos again.
Okay.
And I was like, ugh.
I think we're a little different.
Yes. And so with MTS, there's a couple hour videos, but there's 5 minute, 10-minute, 20-minute, whatever little bite-sized things. And when I don't get something, or maybe, I don't know that I was ever told to go back. I might have been suggested to watch something different, but I was never told to go back. It was, oh, let me get in and edit this for you, or show you, or do an explainer. Yeah, it will tell you in a live session for sure, but even explainer videos. I had to miss a live session recently where I had submitted a post to be reviewed. And Andrew did this amazing, showed me why he was changing everything. In fact, when I was watching that video, I was like, oh, yeah, thank you. Kenny thought I was on live because I was talking to Andrew and thanking him so much for what he was doing, even though it was just a recording. So that level of support is incredible, and definitely in contrast to what I've experienced before.
Exactly. Yeah. And yes, I did design this because going to Northwestern University to get a master's in marketing is $130,000 for a 1.5-year program. I know, because I got one. And there's no reason for you to have to spend 2 years to do that, right? And spend that kind of money. I mean, if you want to go into marketing, you want to go work for business, I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're young enough, go for it. But most people want to have a business, they want to have a business that works now. So why not bring that level of knowledge and empowerment to, well, the health and wellness industry, which we're really passionate about. And I think it's really cool. And also, having gone through and worked with a lot of people like yourself and hearing less than amazing stories from either hiring lead generation companies or marketing agencies or ad agencies or even business coaches, it's like one of the things we know, it's like you need to have that human level of support, which is why, I mean, would you say we're fairly accessible? Like if you have a question, like we're pretty on top of it?
Yeah. And I think with the calls, I mean, I see you guys almost every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And Monday through Friday, like you have access to us every day, Monday through Friday.
Yes. And if I don't, then when I post something, or a question, it is responded to in much faster than 24 hours. So
less than a day. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. We're very proud about that. So everybody listening to this, if you are in the health and wellness space and you're dealing with either time constraints, meaning that you're working too much in the business instead of on the business and growing it, or you're dealing with cash flow constraints like Kendra was doing, which is sounded like she had a little bit of both, kind of time and cash flow going on, meaning that, it's just taking way too much effort in order to generate the revenue that you want to take home, and that the people that you're working with at that level, could be getting better results, but they're just not. And you want to positively impact more people. You want to positively impact your sales and profits, then come on over to movethingsmile.com/impact and, see if you qualify. Because what we're talking about here, if we get down and dirty to it, we call it an impact-driven profit system. And it's all about doing what Kendra's doing, getting out there, helping people with joint pain. And I'm going to guarantee you right now, even though one's starting tomorrow or this Friday, the 6th one's starting on Friday, but the other 5 are probably having some pretty good progress, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Are they able to do things that they weren't able to do when they first started working with you?
Oh, yeah. I have a woman that suffered for 20 years and was on chronic cortisone shots, and she's pain-free.
You know what she's going to call you up?
She's 74. So 74. So making these changes at that stage is like, yeah, so she's been a huge inspiration.
Is exactly why we do what we do, to impact someone's life. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm totally going to admit we stole this from Zig Ziglar, right? He's one of the first motivational guys from back in the, oh my gosh, 40s or 50s or 60s or something like that. I think it was like Tony Robbins' mentor. Anyway, Zig says, helping up people get what they want. You can have whatever you want. Our mantra is, you help people get to the root cause of physical, mental, and or emotional health and wellness challenges. You're allowed to enjoy life too. We think it's a trifecta win, because you're impacting people's lives. They're changing. 74 years old, 20 years, chronic cortisone gone. I wouldn't be surprised if she calls you up one day and say, you saved my life, or you saved my marriage, or you saved something else besides just my knees, or whatever joint was bothering her, right?
Yes.
We're making the health company healthy. Would you say your health company is the healthiest it's ever been?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
And are you breaking in half during this whole process?
No.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it's a trifecta win. So the owner wins, the company wins, and the client wins.
Yes.
So
and while we've been talking, my friend agreed to pay $1,500 for her teenager. So even though that's my half price, there's another one.
Is that 7?
Yep, 6.5, 7.
So you literally, okay, so on this, so is that, I heard the notification come through. So you literally got your 7th client while we're talking today.
Yes.
All right, so we're at 18, so we're at 19.5. So we're $500 away from breaking $20,000. Yes. Awesome. I love it. All right. So come over to movethinksmile.com/impact. And, we can chat, and, within a few minutes, we could tell you if your business qualifies to have an impact driven profit system installed, just like we did with Kendra. And maybe we'll be chatting one day and you'll get your 7th client and make $20,000 too.
Yes.
Kendra, it's been my pleasure. Any other parting shots before we take off for today?
No, that's it.
All right, everybody, come on over.
I could do another hour if you'd like me to, but I think we'll leave it there.
No, that's good. Come on over to movethinksmile.com/impact and let's talk.